Hi guys, welcome to Breaking Barriers. My name is Caroline and I'd like to welcome each and every one of you. This is a community for immigrants by immigrants, and the purpose here is just to provide encouragement, provide education and motivation for immigrants. So the video today is on 10 things every immigrant needs to know before coming to the US. Now, I know there's more than 10 things, but the goal here is just have a summary, just kind of like a cheat sheet, a guide, for every person, every potential immigrant that is coming to the US. So we're going to do a two-part series to this. So today I'll talk about the first 5 things, and then next week we're going to, finish the second part of the series. And leave a comment down below with your own experiences as well. 10 things or even 20 things that you wish you knew before coming to the US. I know my list, you can't exhaust my list. Like, there's so many things that I wish I was told before coming to the US. Now, one of the key things is about airports, guys. To a brand spanking new immigrants, airports are scary. They were scary to me. Okay, some of these airports are so big and you feel so small and so alone and so lost in the experience. But a tip that I would like to give here is ask questions. Ask questions. I'm not saying ask questions to any random person, because that could be very dangerous, because you have all sorts of criminals lurking in airports as well, and you don't want to be vulnerable. Ask questions to people in uniform. It's very obvious when you see airport officials, walking around, like they have a specific uniform that they have on. Go to, different gates, and the people working behind the counter at the gates, ask them questions. Make sure whoever you're asking the question to is somebody that actually works at the airport. And then one other key thing is, do not carry anything for anybody at the airport. I'm not talking about when you're leaving your country. No, you're going to have people that will, want to give you stuff to take to their friends or, family members to where you're going. But I'm talking about while you're at the airport, because sometimes you sit next to somebody and somebody can be like, oh, can you watch this bag for me? Can you hold this thing for me? So that, be very careful, because there's all sorts of contraband. There are people that have ended up being locked up, arrested for holding drugs that they knew nothing about, just because somebody was like, oh, hold this for me, I'm going to the bathroom. Be very careful with things like that. Okay? And then another thing when you're coming to the US is restaurants. I had to learn this lesson the hard way. If somebody tells you, let's go eat, they're not automatically saying they'll pay for your food. Make sure you go with your own money, guys. Make sure you go with your own money to save yourself the embarrassment and save the person the embarrassment as well. Okay, so make sure you're going to the restaurant with enough money. Like, if at the end of the day the person offers to pay for your food, that's different. But just in the case, like, on average though, if somebody tells you let's go eat, in America, they're not telling you I'm going to pay for your food. So make sure you're being careful about that. And then make sure you also have enough money where you can leave a tip for the server at the restaurant. In America, it's considered very rude when you go to a restaurant, especially when you have good service. Like, if you have horrible service, it's up to you at that point. Like, you can even storm out of the restaurant if you want after paying. But when you have good service, it's considered polite practice to make sure you leave a tip of at least 20% of what your total bill is. I thought that was crazy when I just came to the US. I'm like, but I'm already paying them for the food. Don't they pay these servers? Don't they pay these workers? Actually, the pay that that these servers get, the owners of the restaurants assume that they get tips. So their base pay is actually not that much. So please, don't be the reason why a server will have a bad day, especially if it's a good server. Just have that at the back of your mind. When you're planning to go to a restaurant, have enough money to pay for your meal and enough money to leave a tip for your server, at least 20% of what your total bill is. And then This is very important too. When I just came to the US, I first of all lived in a smaller city, you know, and then especially people back home. I'm originally from Cameroon. People back home are like, oh, where's Pocatello? I've never heard of that. Are you sure? Are you sure you live in the US? Are you sure you don't live opposite America? Like that doesn't sound that doesn't sound like America. Like they can legit make you feel bad for living in a smaller city, and because of things like that, you know, wanting to live in the big name cities, you know, because out of the US, a lot of people know about like the LA, New York, New Jersey, Las Vegas. So by the time somebody's asking you, where do you live in the US, and you say, I live in Pocatello, they're looking at you like, are you sure you live in the US? Don't let things like that bother you. Don't allow people pressure you into moving to a big city when you're not ready. I mean, that is somebody's dream, living in a big city, but make sure you can afford, because these big cities are very expensive, from tuition rates for their schools to rent to just basic, even living necessities are very expensive in some of these cities. So if you're moving to a big city, make sure you can afford it. Don't let anybody pressure you into a life that you cannot afford. One of the best decisions I made when I just moved to the US was to stay in a smaller city till I was ready to move. You know, because in a smaller city, tuition typically is very cheap, very affordable. They have more scholarship opportunities because you don't have that much competition to go over there. And then living standard is very affordable as well. And some of these small cities, like there's just that sense of community. There's that sense of safety. You feel like you can even raise a family there if you want to. So let your goals be your guide when it comes to deciding where you want to stay or where you want to move to. Like, what are you trying to achieve? If you're coming to the US as a student, you have no business, you know, wanting to live in San Francisco if you can't afford it. If you are from, you know, a very wealthy family, or if you had a very good job, you know, in your country of origin, and you've saved up enough money and you can afford that lifestyle, go for it. But for a typical student who is struggling and probably doesn't know where their next tuition is going to come from, settle in the smaller cities. You have more opportunities there. You will have, you know, I mean, in terms of, like I said, scholarship, there's less competition, there's fewer competition. In terms of even, you know, entrance into certain programs, you know, you have fewer people applying to some of these schools, so you have a higher chance of being accepted into some of these programs. So just have that in mind as well. Now, I think we're number 4 now. Don't get excited about credit cards. It is not free money. In fact, in the US, there's nothing like free money. It is not free money. A lot of people have had to learn this lesson the hard way. Don't get excited about getting a credit card and, you know, maxing out your credit card, buying whatever you want. If you're getting your credit card, it's to help you build a credit history. Now, I'm going to do a completely different video on the importance of having good credit in the US and having a solid credit history. It's going to open many doors for you if you understand the concept. But it starts with you getting a credit card and being able to manage that credit card well. Credit card money is borrowed money. That's the bank's money that they are lending to you, and they'll come back for it with an interest. So if you're using a credit card, make sure that you're able to pay for whatever it is you're using that credit card to get within less than 30 days before your next credit card bill is due. That way, you know, you're not messing up your credit. And like I said, this is a very broad topic. I'm going to do a completely different video on it. But don't get excited with credit cards. Do not get excited with credit cards. If you're getting a credit card, make sure you're not using up more than, I think I read somewhere they said don't use up more than 20 to 40% of the balance in the credit card. And make sure that, you know, if you're buying something with your credit card, you're able to pay back that thing before your next credit card bill is due. So live within your means is pretty much what we're saying. If you cannot afford to get, you know, a 60-inch TV for $3,000. Don't get excited and max out your credit card just to get that, knowing full well that your pay probably in the next 2 months is not going to be up to $3,000. Don't do that. A lot of people have made those mistakes. Now, number 5. Like I said, originally I'm from Cameroon. And Cameroon is 80% French and 20% English. Now, the French culture has this thing where when they greet people, they hug and then they kiss and they kiss and they kiss. Don't do it. Do not do it. Americans value their private space. Okay? A lot of people have learned this the hard way. Like, somebody could think you're trying to assault them or something. Like, don't, just say hi. Yeah, let's just keep it a hi and keep it, just keep it moving. And then, I think this is number 6. This is either number 5 or number 6. Make sure that when you come to the U.S., you understand that racism is alive and well. Just like it is in many other countries. This is not just the U.S. But I'm saying for an immigrant, especially if you're an immigrant from, an African country or you have, a darker skin tone and all of that, racism is alive and well. For some reason, there's still people in the year 2020 that think that your skin tone has a lot to do when it comes to your IQ or when it comes to your ability to succeed or when it comes to what you deserve to get out of life. Don't let that get to you. First of all, know who you are. Know whose you are. Know what your purpose is. And have goals. Focus on achieving the goals. What is it that is bringing you to the U.S.? Focus on achieving those goals and don't let people's, I call it ignorance. Don't let people's ignorance get to you, okay? You're going to have people, especially for students, you're going to have people who refuse to, get in a group with you in school because they think that for some reason you're not as intelligent just because you're from an African country. You're going to have people that will ask you questions that will sound like an insult. And I think a lot of people, as crazy as this sounds, a lot of people just don't know as well. And there are some people that are just being ignorant about the whole thing. People are going to ask you if you have pet lions, if you have pet tigers, if you have pet monkeys in Africa, if you've ever seen a car, how did you even get here? Did you, crazy questions that could get you riled up, but do not let it. Know who you are, know where you're from, know where you're going, what is your purpose, what are your goals, why are you here, what brought you here. Stay focused on that and you're going to achieve that. So like I said, this is going to be a 2-part series. I am really excited about it and I'm interested in knowing what your own experiences have been like. So, leave comments down below about some of the things that you wish you knew before moving to the U.S. and let's all learn. Like I said earlier, this is a community we're building, a community of support. If you had to advise your younger brother, your younger sister that's about to move into the U.S., what would you tell them about the U.S. to get them better prepared for the experiences that they're going to have here? Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video because we want to grow this community and we want more people to be able to hear this information and learn. We're going to learn together. God bless you and I'll see you all next week. Bye.